Hey, have you ever heard somebody saying things like, without integrity, nothing works? Well, that's a quite interesting use of wording. And words are very, very important here. Because there's one thing, whatever you think is there, it's going to become, a self-fulfilling prophecy. Think about this. If you believe without integrity, nothing works, suddenly this kind of thing becomes like, the golden calf or something. That without integrity, nothing works. Well, there would be a much better saying that, integrity is actually helpful for performance. It's very helpful for performance. So, what is integrity anyway? Let's say people are doing what they say they have been doing or they want to be doing. Imagine you have a project and you are like the project manager and you have a project team and you have you give tasks to people, or people decide themselves, but it's basically like you have an action list and people are doing, okay, you do this until then and so on. You have action lists and people do stuff, like a project. So integrity would be that I get an action and then I'm fulfilling on it, and then the next meeting or so I tell you I have done it, or I just send you a text or anything, or somebody is doing this action list, or I do it myself. But it's like just the details. It's like you say what you're doing and that's it. Good. Such a project works. It's really like the more integrity people have, the more it works better. There is only a catch to it. If you say it positively, like how integrity works, it's actually working. You have a working environment where people can trust each other. Where somebody says he does something, or she, and does it. It's really great. I've been working in teams where we were doing action lists, and then we were looking at the action list, pulling this up in a team meeting and saying, oh, there was this action, did you do it? How was it? And then you heard, oh, I didn't do it. So people didn't do the actions, didn't tell you at all about this thing, and then it was just much over the due date. So that thing, not so productive. And I try, I'm really a good artist, and you see this is the Mona Lisa of integrity and performance, So here on this scale we have performance, and here we have integrity, And it's really clear that if you install things like, for example, everybody comes on, you make a meeting, everybody is on time on the meeting, good, you know who's coming, perfect that you know all these kind of things. So the level of performance of a meeting is dramatically increasing. You can make a very short meeting if everybody is on time. You can make it in 5 to 10 minutes maybe instead of half an hour. If people just drop by, you have to repeat. So the more integrity we have, the more rules are followed, people are on time, precise and so on. Really helpful. So you go up in performance. The only problem is, and you want to train people also in having this integrity and in procedures. It's really good. It's really helpful. You are increasing your performance all the time. So especially, and this is why we call here another thing in enrollment. Enrollment. Because imagine you are inside of a company, everybody's there, they get paid. You want really to install things where integrity is really high. I've been working in a company that you started a meeting and I was on time, and then somebody said, oh, let's wait 5 to 10 minutes on the people who come late. That's not high performance. I was just there losing time and had to wait 5 to 10 minutes before we actually started. Why? Because there might be people where we already accepted they are late. Isn't that insane? So that's not good. So the more, imagine you make meetings, everybody's on time, you start immediately at the hour and you go. That's how I do meetings. You're not there, you're a problem. I start, I don't repeat myself. You're freaking problem. That's how I do the thing. And it's like a training that people get that, hey, you want to be on time. Otherwise, you just get not everything out of the meeting. The meeting starts at the hour, for example. So, but you want to know performance and integrity. So it really goes up if you train people in integrity. Okay, so really here until a very high level. Okay. Well, the problem is, if people say I'm going to do X by time Y and so on, and they just said this, and they made the promise and said I'm going to do this and so on, yes, if you just go on the integrity button all the time, that you believe that now things work. No, because there's one other thing which is really, really missing. You can just go on, you have to do it, you said it, and it's not enrolling. Because the main thing is about enrolling. If you are the boss of a company, or you are in a company, you can hammer it everything, I want to have high integrity. But your enrollment isn't there. People aren't engaged anymore. They may be doing the things you want them, and maybe they're even doing them on time and reporting and so on. But your motivation and enrollment level is really going. I'm doing a project where all the people aren't paid. They're just there because they want to be there. So our engagement level is really high, Why? Because there's no reason they can just leave. Imagine that your company would be working under conditions that everybody can leave immediately all the time. They don't like you anymore, they go. They just immediately let's face it, something there are skills if you an AI software developer right now, if you're really good in AI and you are one of these experts in AI and stuff, you just go to the front door of your company, text a little bit around to a headhunter and say, hey, I'm an AI guy searching for a job, and you have probably a job in the next several days. So, because you want to choose which one. So it's imagine that people could just leave. They would be just wanting there. So you can't just tell you didn't do it and so on, Because there's a downside here. I have been in meetings, we had a meeting, 1 hour, and the only thing we were doing in the meeting was talking about our integrity and what people were trying to do and what they said and so on. So we didn't accomplish anything. So we were here. That's the problem. And that's why, remember the saying from the beginning, without integrity, nothing works. That isn't actually true. Especially all these kinds of simple sentences, especially if they are negated, they are bad. Really. If you have negated sentences, not good. No, really bad. It's something in your brains which doesn't work with negatives. You want to always define a positive. Integrity works. Putting integrity in works, makes performance. Integrity increases performance. Something like this. Integrity increases performance. And you want to know that you are here on this side, that you want to take integrity and you want to enroll people. Yeah? Because this, if you are going behind somebody and say, Thomas, you promised to do X, you didn't do it. What are you going to do it now? It's how enrolling is that? If somebody comes after you and it's grrr. It's for example, in agile project management, all this kind of stuff is different, by the way. Look at agile, different story. But here we're looking at, hey, really, in teams, I'm not saying you should be having not focusing and because you want to really be here. You want to be on this part of the curve and put in more integrity in, enroll people into, hey, let's all be on time, that's all good, and we are there, it really works, I'm working with an international team of people all around the globe, and they are just there. Some of them have technical issues, some of them can't. Okay, we just start in the beginning with something where we just introduce each other. If somebody comes late, he isn't really missing so much. It's already in the design that, hey, there are slip-ups and I'm not taking care of this, and I try to be on this part of the curve because, like I told you, I have been in meetings where the whole thing was integrity. Nobody was really feeling very empowered. Of course, it's advantages of you get rid of all these kind of things you didn't do and so on and clear this area. Yeah? But in this meeting, we didn't really get anything done. That's the problem. You prepared, again, integrity is like a foundation. It's helpful if everybody is really saying, yeah, I do it, or if I don't do it, I inform you. That if there's an action list or anything, the project manager knows, okay, you're not doing that anymore. I can take different actions. It's very helpful, really. You say you're doing X, you don't do it anymore. You inform the one who is managing this. That's good. It's very good practice. It helps increase the performance. But the most important thing, together with integrity, you also want to increase the level of enrollment. Yeah? You want to have people enrolled to a very high level. If they aren't really enrolled into this activity and you just tell them, you have told you and you have like... It's like not really helping. By the way, there are surveys out there in traditional companies, there's engagement surveys it's called, and you can go that between 10 and 20% of people, 10 and 20, it's like the upper part here, these kind of people are actually engaged in like the mission of the company. They want to bring something forward, they want to be productive, and they want to really achieve something. 10 or 20%. Depends on the company. Then there's like 60%, the vast majority is just there to get paid. They don't really care at all. And then there's like, the lower part here, like 10 to 20% again, is just there to sabotage. They're already checked out. They are so off that they just like really do something against the company, the teams, the missions, and so on. They just like are there to just do havoc. Huh? Imagine this, and there's like, look it up, engagement surveys, engagement of people. Just very few people are engaged. Most people are just there for the money and they don't really care. And then there are people who are actively sabotaging the company or the project, or whatever you have there, like the organization. And that's the thing. So how much are they enrolled in the mission, in the vision, and so on? What are you doing? And that's like, if you have it perfect, is really you want to increase integrity and you want to install procedures in your team and you want to do something that people are really on time and you want to mention this and, hey, make a very simple task. You want the people to make a report every day or something like this, or perform a certain task once per week. Yeah? So you can inform them and send people around behind them to increase this kind of thing. Or you can just look at, tell them, hey, I really want to do 12 o'clock on Friday, send me this report, just do this thing. So, and if Thomas is not doing it, then he should be having a conversation with somebody, like with his superior. And then I would say, oh yeah, I missed that. Okay, what can I do? I can put, because it's really important, I want to have it done. I can set up an alarm on my telephone. It makes like this beep, 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 beep kind of thing. And I know, I just do this kind of thing. It reminds me of actually doing this. Good. And then that's for me, it would be problem solved. That's like a system which would work for me. But you would like to work and see with all the others. If you want to have these kind of things done. And then you look at what do the people need to put in place to have this kind of performance, to do something and so on. Otherwise, if you are having meetings and you find your meetings be completely, you're just talking about, restoring integrity and doing all these kind of things, you will be ending up on this part of the curve. And especially if you're having somebody who comes into this meeting and saying, yeah, your whole team doesn't work because their integrity is out. Yeah. And you just decrease the amount of enrollment of these people significantly as well. Because they are yeah, we didn't perform. It wasn't good. And trust me, if you want to have high performance, you can have utter chaos if you have a team of people who are really enrolled. And it really helps, increasing their performance. But you first want to have a very high enrollment. And then, when you are basic on a level of really high enrollment, you enroll the people in having higher integrity and doing some procedures. These things have to work hand in hand. If you have people who are already trying to accomplish something as a team and they're not performing, and I mean performing in something which could have been achieved, just going in and saying, hey, integrity is a problem, you have to restore your integrity, you have to work on your integrity. It's just getting the people deeper and deeper in the low enrollment curve. They're just checking out and they're saying, oh, we never ever going to do this and so on and so on. Because let's face it, most of the times when you have a project or you have a task and you're not doing it, yeah, that task is either not important and then it should be done anyway. But like if you are like setting up tasks and you say, I want to do this, you give a promise and you like really give this promise and then you do it, not doing it. Why aren't you doing it? Most of the times it's something like you're not enrolled into this. Yeah, you think, oh, I'm just doing it for Thomas, not for myself, or I do it for anybody else. So it's like somebody else you're doing it for. You're not enrolled in this anymore. And it could be also like the source of it usually is fear. Yes. The source of it is usually fear, like fear of rejection. You know, what I'm doing is, like last week, I went around on the street and I asked like 80 plus people to follow our project on social media. And like around half the cases or so, they just say no. Especially the Germans are the worst. You know, they look at, you know, if I asked, the last was one of a group of 3 Germans, they were looking at me like, what do you want? Climate change, global, we are not interested. Yeah, but you know that climate change is going even if you're, yeah, but you know, no, we don't talk to people on the street. Germans, here in Schwaben, yeah, Schwaben, really, we are, no, so, but that's like it is. But I had like so great conversation with people from all around the world, and it's also other Germans who said, yeah, okay, we do this. You just ask a question, because it's just like what I did. You know, I asked them, can you follow us on social media? So, and people can jump in and follow us on social media. So, the thing is, I just do this because I'm really enrolled in this mission. Yeah? I'm really enrolled in this mission, and I don't care then, you know, if my enrollment level is higher than my fear of rejection and all the discomfort I have. I know it's not comfortable, you know, I especially go for young women, yeah? Why? Because like I usually like to talk to young women, yeah, but I mean, hey, the women actually care more for the planet than the men, by the way, yeah, but I go there for young women, and sometimes, you know, like they were like 2 really attractive young women, and I just talk to them, and then they just follow, and then we had like very nice conversation. That's really nice, you know, and that's one of the moments where I say, hey, that's really cool thing. I just forgot to make a selfie with them. That's what I'm going to do in the future. But it's something, you know, I'm not doing this kind of thing, going around and like talking to somebody and then getting this stare. What? You are asking us something like this, or you get, no, I don't want, go away. So you get these kind of things. Is this good for, you know, it's, you know, you get rejected, but do they reject me, or do they reject like the talk or anything? It's something else, but it's a very great learning that you can talk to anybody. Why am I doing this? Because my enrollment level in this kind of project is really, really high. I say, hey, I'm just doing it to get this done. You know, if my enrollment level isn't really high, I'm not really motivated and enrolled to do this activity, I will find all kinds of reasons why I'm not doing it, even if I said I would do it. Huh? So the thing is always, you know, there's like, ask yourself, why aren't people performing these things? They are either not important, okay, then you shouldn't do them at all. They aren't enrolled into it, that they should be really doing it, or there's a discomfort, fear of rejection. You know, and have you ever heard this kind of thing, that your growth begins when you're out of your comfort zone? Yeah, it's really like this. Most people want to like grow to the powerful leader or whatever and train themselves, but they don't want to get out of their comfort zone. It starts by getting out of the comfort zone and doing something you might not be liking, but then you can enjoy it. So, and again, why am I saying this? If you just look at integrity, it's in a lot of cases, integrity is really helpful to have a discussion about integrity. Okay, Why was there a breakdown? Why did you forget about this? And so in a lot of cases in projects, it's really helpful to put these procedures in. It makes your team stronger, works better, your performance goes up. But if really integrity isn't the cause of the problem, you are just like trying to do something with the symptoms, you're not enrolling people. Yeah. But this is like, you want to enroll people. Imagine at any time, everybody of your team could leave. And a lot of times there are teams where people are doing this. I coached somebody, or I had a conversation with somebody, and that person was building a whole team around where everybody else was doing the things he didn't like to do. I'm good at this as well, but I'm getting these people on board for things I don't really like a tax advisor. I want to get a tax advisor on board. I don't like tax stuff. Yeah. So, and I tell it then, but I have done it myself as well. Yeah. But I just say, hey, you like this stuff, I don't. So, hey, better you do it than me. But if you but if you are like too chicken, yeah, to say it like this, to actually perform the task, like going to a client and finding actually a client for your services. Other people won't be in your team. Otherwise, you pay them a lot of money, they're doing this. Yeah? But here's the thing. Yeah? How is your enrollment level? If you think about, hey, where do I have to work on? Do I have to work with them on increase integrity? Or do I have to work on enrolling them more in the mission, the vision, how we achieve there? And then also after you have done this, you can work and increase the performance of your team by going for integrity. But if the enrollment isn't there and you start bashing on a team on integrity, try this. Huh? Try it. Maybe you have seen it. Anyway, this is already a long video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and please follow the channel.